right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to the river. Michael, we are launching River Branch in the new direction.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's good to be back. I know that things have been a bit chaotic, so to speak. Things have been in transit. There's just been so much stuff going on behind the scenes. But here we are. And like I said, it's really good to be back. My heart has actually got that excitement. I've got that pang of excitement in my stomach. So yeah, I'm really looking forward not only to today, but to what's to come. And this is what today is going to be about, just to let everyone know publicly, just how things are going to start looking as we move forward, because Curtis and I have been getting heaps of emails and questions, what's going on. Today serves to answer those questions, so that everything can come from the source, so to speak. So hopefully there won't be any confusion. And let's this new journey, it begins.
It does. A new journey begins. We are excited about it. And it's been a long time in the making to sort of get to this point. And so I know, many of you here joining us live have been a part of this incredible journey on both sides of the ditch. And we thanked you many years ago, and what a lot of people don't know and they don't see, they might just see the Shabbat gatherings and the teachings. What they don't see is the fellowship and the discipleship and the things that go on that make a part of our servitude all happen. And even though this is a new journey begins, it isn't for many here. It isn't for Michael and I. We've never been apart. This is more about this stage of journey. So we've been journeying this out quite a while now. Hey, Michael.
Yeah, 7 years in the making.
Yeah. So there's just things that, we live all these aspects and things in behind the scenes, and many don't, and many can't. And we've done everything we can even to make our live gatherings be at a time in a way that people can engage and enjoy. But we know that change sometimes can be difficult for people, or challenging, or just different. And we want everyone to know that we understand, and we're doing the best we can to have made it as least disruptive as possible, and all these sorts of things. But we do invite you to come along on this new journey, and we're going to explain that a little bit more today. And may it be a blessing to His people, which all of you are. Not our people, not River Branch people, and the such and whatnot. And the day will come when all of these labels and the way that we try to connect and relate with each other in this fallen time domain, they will not be. And so this is really about the King. This is really about our Messiah. And we got to do the best we can together now on this as we come to the end of the age. And many of you are doing just that. And Michael and I both can't tell you how much and how humbled we are to serve into what the Father is doing with so many at this time. We got a quote here, and I love many of the quotes by Martin Luther King Jr. It's such an interesting journey this man's life had, and far from perfect. And he had to walk through many aspects of his faith, not only publicly, but as a part of his whole journey. And to where he finished and to what he truly understand, that is between him and Messiah. But often he would make statements where you could see that his faith meant something to him through it all. And through that, he makes really statements and quotes that I believe really truly came from a place inside him. And he meant these things that he said. In fact, he lived out his life in a way that many do not, to the point of his death. And so there's a respect there in that. And so we're just sharing this quote that Michael and I thought were related to, or was apt for where we're heading now. And we take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase just to take the first step. Hey, Michael, so we're taking the first step today in this.
You know what I love about this quote? It's essentially a rewording of this idea of your word is a lamp unto my feet. When you understand this in an ancient biblical culture, they didn't have all these, night lights and things like that, headlamps and flashlights. They had these little oil lamps, and all these oil lamps illuminated was the immediate vicinity in front of you. You could only see a few meters in front of you. And so it's this beautiful picture of walking in faith in a dark world as the world gets darker and darker. And here we are, launching River Branch, and Curtis and I have a rough idea of what's in the immediate future, but long term, we're both, okay, Father, let's see what you're going to do. And so, here we are seeing the first few steps in front of us. We've already took the first step, but here we are now walking. We've taken this journey. We're now walking on this path, and I think this is what the Father is looking for, people that are willing to walk in trust, that really, this is what it means to lean on him, to, cast your burdens on him. But, this casting your burdens on him is not just, here you go, you deal with my problems. It's no, I'm going to walk in faith, in trust, even though I cannot fully see or understand what's further ahead of me.
Yeah, and I think if we could see the whole staircase, I think many of us would just simply trip on it. So he's protecting us. We try and run up it and fall flat on our faces. So we're having to take the this journey in faith, and as this great historical figure in this man's life has stated this step, and it relates to us, I believe, to all of us. And we're all now on this journey with all of you taking these first steps together. Okay. Oh, no. You know what I didn't do?
Share the sound.
Yeah.
It's all right. Love covers a multitude of sins, Curtis.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this. Let's see wonder if I got the auto settings on it. Is that coming through?
No.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is we will see if I can share this.
I'll do some editing magic.
Yeah.
On the live video. On the YouTube video.
Yeah, I'm just going to stop the share here for a second and reshare it. We will put that in. Many of you may have just seen the little intro that we've done in there, and it sort of reflects where we're at. So we'll put that into the teaching here today and do the video editing magic. But what was this all about, Michael? What was this intro that we have here that some have seen?
So the essence, most of you will be aware of this picture that we use, get in the river. That there's these two riverbanks, and on one side is the more Christian side, on the other side is the Judeo-Messianic Hebrew roots, and what we're being asked to do is actually to come off the banks and get into the living waters, which is Messiah, without the traditions of men and this pure faith, if you wish to call it that. And so many of you will have noticed this intro that we've used. It encapsulates just that. And, you see this living water, this river coming through between the two banks, and, the day going. And so hopefully people understood the message behind the video, as it were. It wasn't just a pretty video that we thought would look nice. It was everything was chosen for a reason. Even, and how that would interpret into the logo. There's a reason why we did things, even down to the 7 leaves on the branch, there's reason.
A video says 1,000 words, so there's lots of interesting things in there. Anyway, we'll put that into the teaching, the so. Okay, we're going to read a poem here, and this came from beautiful sister Nicole, and she's submitted this, and I want to just share with it because we read this, and this came from the heart, and a part of the changes that are going on. So Michael and I will share in reading this because we just there was a lot of things stated in this that kind of touched our hearts. So we're going to share this. I'll get you to start off here, Michael, and I'll do the next page and so on.
A river, waters bright, reflecting rays of the sun warm. Small streams into that river, calmly flowing, becoming one with the river, waters blue. Branches on both sides of the river I saw. Nothing but a soft breeze I heard, the shaking of leaves as I closed my eyes, enjoying this calmness, wishing the silence would never be broken, the gentleness of that day to forever remain. Those branches seemed to agree, until sudden, as fast as the day turns into night, dark clouds covered the sky, rain in an instant pouring down, rain so cold.
Leaves flowing in the air, branches being broken off, the heaviest of winds tossing them into the river. This scenery so wild, trembling trees and ground shaken to their core, looking like a never-ending story, wilderness and chaos. No branches to be found anymore on both sides of that river. The river took it all, playing with them as the storm made them vanish in these once bright waters. Then fast, so fast, skies cleared, winds turning in a gentle breeze again. The sun was made to give its life and its warmth. The calmness returning, I looked and saw the river that just yet played so wildly with the branches that were taken into his waters. That river now,
shining brighter than before, those waters making the branches stand tall, gazing into the light and seeking to take up root. Deep in the river waters, taller and stronger they grew, covered by green leaves once more, never to be ripped off by any storm ever again. What's really interesting is that there's passages in the prophets that kind of have this analogy, the house of Israel being that olive tree, the branches being broken and even set to fire, the tree being uprooted to once again be planted again in the future. And so this struck a chord because not only does it fit the narrative of the prophets, but it fits. We just, as I was reading this, I could see the video, that we've just seen or going to see. And so it was just very fitting, like how Yah works through his people. And you get this, everything coming together in very interesting timings.
Yeah, indeed. We just have so much to be thankful for in this journey, and we want to thank you, Nicole, for writing that and sharing it with us. It did mean something to us as a part of all of this, and we thank you for sharing that. And we wanted to share it with the community. Okay, so a new journey begins, ministry framework. So we're just going to briefly touch on, as a part of the teaching today, and incorporate this into the journey ahead, the weekly Sabbath gatherings, the teachings, the related video channels, website, newsletter, discipleship, eldership, community engagement, and his annual appointed times. So Michael and I've decided that we're just going to do this as a part of the teaching today, but also as a part of the launch of River Branch, so that people could understand not only the heart behind it and the direction, but also just some of the functional stuff as well, and some of the meanings behind all this. Okay, so
A new
behold,
journey.
a new journey. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and the rivers in the desert. Isaiah 43:1-9. This is interesting, eh, Michael?
This is a verse that's very special and dear to me. Those of you who would have watched some of the final Olive Branch videos will know why. But what's interesting, this new thing in the Hebrew, this chadash, it can mean new, like brand new, but it can also mean to renew and to repair. It's the word used for the renewing of the moon, but it's also used for the renewed covenant or the new covenant, the Brit Hadashah. So while this is a new thing, I do not believe it's new. There is nothing new under the sun. This is just a repeat, a cycle, some history rhyming again. And then this thing, now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? To perceive, the Hebrew word yada, which means really to know, to recognize, notice, to discern, to ascertain, or even to instruct. And this is actually also used, within marital relations, this real intimate knowledge. And so it's got this idea of, do we have eyes to see and ears to hear what Yah is doing right now? What he has done, what he is doing, what he will continue to do. And this is one of the reasons why Curtis and I are kind of doing what we're doing now with River Branch, because Curtis and I firmly believe Yah is doing something upon the earth, and it's our job to perceive it so that we can then discern it, to then instruct others in what Elohim is doing. And here we are, right, in the wilderness of the nations, and the world is getting darker, and the prophecy here is saying that he will make a way. He will make a path. And not only that, he will give living waters in a time where the waters are either polluted or there are no waters. And so what is it that Yah is doing, this renewed thing?
One of the things, with the Hadashi and the Yada, what really is striking about this is that the new thing seems to be directly, as Michael was saying, to perceiving it, but at its essence, we end up with to instruct, and to recognize and to discern. And intrinsically at the heart of what's being mentioned here in Isaiah is actually the process of what our Messiah pattern is, discipleship. What comes out of this and why they are so important together is that the perception, or the ability to perceive what's happening, actually at its base is the pattern of discipleship. And so this is something that we take serious, and that we encourage others, and why we're trying to connect at this time, because trying to perceive this just being from the outside is a very difficult thing, if not almost impossible. And so we want to encourage you that actually the Hebrew is actually relating here very much to our ability to perceive this new thing. And at the heart of that is the principles and the pattern of discipleship. Definition, English definition here, is suggesting travel or passage from one place to another. An active or instance of traveling from one place to another, even a travel through time. And so the English captures this very basic concept of journey. The Greek goes a little bit more into the epidemio, and to go abroad, to visit a foreign land, to go away from one's people. And there's a requirement as a part of a journey that for those who serve into his people, that this is going to be required. And so Michael and Ruth had just gone through this, and Tip and I had gone through it 5 years ago, that have brought us to the other side of the world for a time such as this. And it's difficult to make these choices, these decisions, and these sorts of things. But when you understand that we're not his, we're bondservants, and that sacrifices and things are having to be made as we traverse these things. So the Greek is capturing this in the point of walking through life and to pursue a journey which one has entered, again, this link back to the discipleship journey. And what that means. In the Hebrew, it gets very interesting here as well. Here another parable. There was a master of a house who planted a vineyard and a fence around it, and dug a wine press in it, and built a tower and leased it to tenants, and went into another country. Matthew 21:33. What's the context of this one, Michael?
So for those of you who may not know, this is the parable, and, essentially the master of the house here is Messiah. And, he's entrusting his wine press, his people, to these tenants. And he goes on a long journey to do so, i.e. his ascension back to the Father. And so in the English here, you're seeing 4 words. Actually, in the Greek, it's this one word, apodomeo, literally to visit a foreign land, to go away from one's people. And so the parable here is Messiah is entrusting people with his flock. And in the parable, the tenants don't really do a good job. In fact, the parable goes a bit south, so to speak. And really, what Curtis, we do not want to be these people that we have been entrusted with a great gift, great responsibility, and actually do damage and violence to his people and to Messiah ultimately. We do not want to be the example given in this parable. But part of this journey, a lot of us, this is really the essence of the plan of redemption, actually, the scattering of the house of Israel. We're all right now in a scattered reality, and there's actually a purpose to this. It's part of this journey, this test that we have to experience in this time domain. It's actually for our good, the toil, the chances to overcome, to bring us to repentance.
The other Greek word here predominantly being used, this to walk through life, to pursue, in how this is captured in the Brit Hadashah. In this connection, I journeyed to Damascus. So we have Paul here, reflecting on something. He says, with the authority and the commission of the chief priests. At midday, O king, I saw the way of light from heaven, brighter than the sun, and shone around me and those who journeyed with me. And again, it is this essence, isn't it, Michael, of, what does journeying meaning? Is it just we go from one place to another, and the English doesn't quite capture this as it's actually meaning in the biblical sense, does it? It's deeper than that, and it's not just getting from A to B.
Well, the incident that Paul is referring to is his what's commonly known as the Damascus Road experience. And so we see that Paul was on a path, on a journey against the assembly, against Messiah, ultimately with even being part of the stoning of Stephen. And so at this key juncture in his life, we see Paul going on, like the journey changing. And so what I love about the Greek here, to traverse, to go through something. Well, we know that part of this walk, we will have to go through trials. We will have to traverse, hardships, crushings, siftings. We have to go through these things, again, for our benefit. And so I really love how, this Greek word here, Paul's using it a key point where his journey took a fundamental change.
And that change coming off the heels of it being a part in the witness, I believe, of Stephen's death, the sense of what this great servant of Elohim would have been going through at this time is also the realization that he was part of persecuting the very bride of Messiah. And now he comes to the realization as a part of his journey that he is stoned and put to death and a part of something that he's now realizing what he's done. And so these are very serious matters captured by this great servant in the Word and as a part of his journey. And so we can sit back now and criticize or critique or teach and do these sorts of things, but this was a real bondservant going through an aspect of his journey at levels of persecution and realization and repentance and remorse that was going to come a part of this whole journey. And so as it relates to each of our lives, this is where we are heading biblically as a part of these things, where there is going to be these moments. And I'm sure many people here gathered here live today, you've gone through something in your life, and it's now giving you a realization, what have I done? Well, at this level, what the great apostle Paul was starting to realize is that he had actually been a part of slaying the bride of Messiah. And so these are very serious matters that we're actually reading in his word and these accounts and what they would have been going through. The Hebrew here, the derach, the road, the path, the habit, the course of life, of moral character. So you can see how this is being related to the very essence of the character of these great bondservants, and this is captured in the Hebrew. It's interesting here, Michael, is the other word that's predominantly used in the root and in the word, and as we look at the Torah and the prophets, in the other word that's used and the root to that. So what's going on there? There's something called precious.
So the derech does mean that, a road, a path, but quite often is a long path or a remote path. And we're going to see this in the verse coming up. But rachok literally means remote, but it can mean of place or time. So we normally think of remote, far away within a spatial sense, but there's actually a time aspect, something long ago, for example. And so does this even point to being plugged into this time domain, you could argue, but there's something precious about it. Like one of the less known meanings is this precious, something, you could even argue, is this why we have sayings like absence makes the heart grow fonder? But at the root of this, rachok is rachak, to become far, distance, again, not only just of distance, but time, to be removed or to send or put away. Now, this brings up allusions to divorce, actually, to be removed from the house or to send an idolatrous bride or to put her away. And we know the great plan of redemption is literally it's a wedding covenant where the wife had to be divorced and put away. And so how does this relate to not only distance but time itself? Are we in a place right now where we've been put away from Elohim? Where these words come up, if you read Proverbs chapter 7, the context of this is actually the strange woman, the harlot, this spirit of seduction that is there to captivate the believer. And we have direct references to this in the book of Revelation, the harlot that sits on many waters. But in the book of Proverbs, this harlot says this very interesting statement. For my husband is not at home. He has gone on a long journey, a derech rachok, this distant path. And I believe this is what Yeshua was alluding to in the parable of the tenant leasing out his vineyard. He says, I'm going to entrust you with my vineyard, with my harvest, while I go on a long journey. And so this adulterous woman knows who her husband is. She knows who the groom is, yet she's seducing and engaging in spiritual adultery, and he has gone on a long journey. And so, Yeshua says this statement, come follow me. Those that will follow him will probably have to go on a long journey themselves. And so, my wife and I have had to experience this in the physical type shadow picture of moving across the pond. But is there a plan of redemption aspect to this? And essentially, this is part of the why of what we're doing with River Branch, is to equip people while they are on their own long journey to help one another.
The incredible chapter 7 in Proverbs is a real reflection of us understanding ultimately what all of us face in our faith journey. And this is still captured in here as it relates to this precious journey, which is a part of our walk and what we are doing. So the preciousness of what is happening here is still even being reflected by the adulteress or wayward or captured in the Hebrew here. And so this is really interesting as for us to understand that what all of us are experiencing with the faith is precious. And our journeys, all of our journeys are precious, but none more precious than Messiah himself. And so there is some incredible things captured right throughout here. So as a part of our journey, we have the weekly Shabbat gatherings or the weekly Sabbath gatherings. What about the weekly Sabbath gatherings? And so this is all a part of now our journey ahead. And what we've got here in as a part of guarding the Sabbath and learning what that means. Often the English is saying here, and what it's saying here in Exodus 13, you are to speak to the people of Israel and say, above all, you shall keep my Sabbaths, for this is a sign for me and throughout your generations, that you may know that I, Yah, set you apart. And so the Shema here in the to guard, to protect, to hedge, preserve, to treasure up. It's not just to attend. It's not just a part of ticking a box. There is something here that's much deeper. And the English struggles to capture this with keep. Keep would suggest that we just tick a box. But that's not what the Hebrew's saying. It's saying to protect, to have this hedge, to preserve, to treasure up. And the ot there in the Hebrew there, that this will actually become a distinguishing mark or proof or evidence of his people. And this is both captured here. It's saying that those who will do this with the Sabbath becomes a distinguishing mark and evidence of what is actually happening here. And so we are on this journey on the weekly Sabbaths, Michael.
Yeah. And, this is why for those of you who do attend the live streams, especially if you're new, you'll probably realize we do things a little bit differently. And so that's the what, but the why behind it is because we're instructed to guard his Sabbath. It's a gift from him that he's given to us. And it is precious, it is sanctified, it's set apart, and we are to guard it, like not in the sense of just attending, but it's, we need to guard it from evil speech, from slander, our bad behavior. And so this is why on the live streams, we'll do things a certain way because, Curtis and I, especially as servant leaders, there's an even increased responsibility for us to guard to do our best for the Shabbat to be guarded. And really, it needs to be guarded from ourselves because we're the ones that bring our baggage, our ideas, And so this is part of the why of why we go about the live streams a certain way that we do, because we understand that this is to be guarded because it is evidence. Is our guarding, our protecting of this set apart day the evidence? of being his people. Because most people will look at this and go, oh, well, I ticked my box. I'm part of the house of Israel. And actually, is what the Torah really saying is how we guard it is evidence of whether we're his or not.
So our character, our behavior comes into this as we gather during the Sabbath gatherings. The Sabbath doesn't start with River Branch. It doesn't finish with River Branch. It starts and finishes as the Father lays out. And we are enjoined as a part, as we are instructed, to come together and gather on the Sabbath. And of course, it's very difficult for much of the scattered remnant around the world. And so why we serve the way we do. But the pattern and the principles of guarding this is a responsibility that we have, and not to do violence to the Sabbath based on our character not being pleasing in his sight. And so, unfortunately, we do have to be a part of making sure that we are not allowing our unsanctified selves to come in and dishonor the Sabbath. And so, as a people, we need to learn, we need to grow, and to go through this so that we are not doing this to his Sabbath and as a result, to each other. And so what is the sign? What is this distinguishing mark or proof or evidence? Well, hopefully it's not our bad behavior during the Sabbath. Hopefully it is actually that we are a people that are becoming respectful, that we are in an honored place to be able to gather together before him. And scattered or not, the principles and the meaning of all of this applies. And so we work to do that and to guard that as much as we can. And so this is some of the principles that we incorporate as we come together online so that we as a community can be blessed by him. In the Greek here, we've got this interesting thing that's this neglecting that's highlighted. Let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and more as you see the day drawing near. And there's an interesting thing here as to what Michael and I have faced regarding posting teachings and things, which we'll talk a little bit more about, and the result of sharing and the messages and the teachings in the Sabbath gatherings and all of these things. But there are some that it's not just a matter of time zones, and it's not just a matter of not being able to be a part of a wider community. They are just simply interested in pursuit of knowledge, of information, and never coming to the true knowledge of the truth. And so this is something that Michael and I often discuss, and we're trying to move people forward, but some people just want to live in watching a video only land. And yet there's an opportunity to be a part of something here that can actually help people to move forward and to grow. And so this is a challenge for us, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah. One of the things we say is if you can have in-person fellowship, right, we will always recommend in-person fellowship over a live stream. There is a caveat to that, but I'll get to that. Because when people get together, first of all, everyone will know that face-to-face fellowship is better. But eventually what will happen is it becomes the place where you can work your differences out. Yah's actually programmed this into his plan that when people get together, issues come up. And the thing is how are we going to go about those issues? But there are people out there that, because whatever local gathering is near to them disagrees with their theology, they go, oh, well, I'm just going to watch a load of teachings online. And actually, this is, the appointed times our live gatherings, here the neglecting, one of the nuances to this word is actually to leave someone in the straits, to abandon them. And so there are people out there that are abandoning their fellow brothers and sisters in the quest of knowledge. Now, the caveat to in-person fellowship is, there are people right now tuning in that go, Michael, there is a local gathering near me, but what they teach is not biblical. And so you have to use wisdom. And this is why they would tune in to something like River Branch. There are people right now tuning in that they have like a gathering, but they don't have any of the fivefold present. So what do? They tune in as a group. And so they're plugged in that way. What we're saying is you need to be drinking from living waters, whether that be online or in person, but choose in person if you can, and so, because if not, we're leaving each other, abandoning each other, we're forsaking one another. And by forsaking one another, we're forsaking him.
And all of this can apply differently to people's individual circumstances. Many of you gather here with us live, and then you gather with others after. You gather together and share in this together. Others, your physical or local gathering is at the same time in the course, and then it's about coming back and looking at what we had shared because it is valued and is understood as such. The essence of what this is we are looking forward to the coming of Messiah. What you see captured in here is actually the fulfillment of the plan of redemption as you see the day drawing near. The last great day, and of course, the day of Yom Kippurim, his actual return. And so at some point that we are going to reach this place, we're going to see the actual physical fulfillment of this great plan of redemption captured in honoring his appointed times. And so during the weekly appointed time, there's actually a pointing here that this is going to let us understand the actual plan of redemption and the importance of the annual appointed times. And so when you start to get this, suddenly things that we read in the New Testament and the Brit Hadashah start to make a deeper sense that actually one is not exempt from the others. This is a plan of redemption, and all of the Moedim are absolutely working as one. They are just being done and honored the way that it is laid out in the Torah. And so we are on this place of doing this. And so we don't want to be caught, and Michael and I both don't want to be a part of facilitating necessarily the ability for people to neglect or to abandon this process. And so we're in this place of trying to encourage people that it is, the Sabbath is so much more than just a teaching that we will put up as a video. So that being said, then what about the old video channels and related teachings? And boy, have we gotten some messages around this one because people are going, what's going on? And, don't take the channels down and all this kind of stuff. What's going on is that we're trying to work through sort of moving into the river branch, but we're not, we understand and we hear that many people value the teachings, many can't attend live, these sorts of things. But we want this connection to the community as well. And so we want people to move with what's being shared and those sorts of things, but not have videos replace someone's journey. And so there's a great responsibility on us as to how we do things. It's not just about making things available or not. Here's the good news. Michael and I do not plan on taking down either of the channels immediately and doing all that sorts of things. We're trying to work out how we can preserve some of the older teachings, even represent them and these sorts of things, Michael? But it's not about just taking something away, but we are moving into another space. And so we don't plan on not making the previous teachings not available, but they may be made available in a different way moving forward. And we still got to work some things out there. So we're not going to be taking down the channels in the meantime. Is that fair, Michael?
Yeah, it's again, like, as we said about, people using the live streams or like the teachings themselves as an excuse to not gather. Believe it or not, people, our teachings can be used, can actually be a stumbling block to people, not because of the content of them, but, Curtis and I's teachings don't circumcise your hearts. And people go, well, I've listened to my teaching and all they do is devour and consume knowledge. And so our teachings unwittingly can become a stumbling block to people that have this, this penchant for knowledge or Gnosticism. And so we understand that the majority of people tuning in right now are probably not those people. We get that, but it's about being wise, and so we understand as people that really value some of the work that we've done. And we understand that we don't want to negate what the Father has done through some of these teachings and so forth. But at the same time, we don't want people to become dependent upon them and be like the chicks in the nest going, feed me, feed me, feed me. Like, we need to grow. And like in ancient times, you had to listen to it. And once the teaching was given, that's it. If you were lucky, some of it may have been written down. And what that forced people to do was to engage in a community and to listen critically. And unfortunately, as convenient as YouTube and recordings are that we can revisit certain things, it can also actually foster bad behavior, whether we know it or not. And so this is why we're trying to navigate this, to do it as wisely as possible. But as Curtis said, we're not going to take the old teachings down anytime soon. As we said when we first mentioned this, it's like people just heard we're going to take it down. If you listen, we said we're not going to take it down anytime soon. So yeah.
We've got this great challenge and responsibility to do things as, wisdom is precious, and to do this as wise as we can. But we are navigating, a very interesting time, a scattered remnant, this technology, everything else. And so we're trying to strive to do this in a way that is pleasing to the Father. We will not do it perfectly. We will not always be, in a place where it's just meeting everybody's individual place or where they're at. But we do have a responsibility to try and do this in a way that is pleasing to the Father, first and foremost. And so that is what we are doing. The essence of, and what's captured here in 2 Peter 1:19, 21 here, the bibeos and the prosopon. In the Greek, we've got stable, firm, steadfast. Pay attention and be cautious about apply oneself to adhere, to hold and cleave to a person or thing. And so there's a suggestion in the essence of this that it is coming from a place of engagement, of coming together as a community. The word stable there, I just love because, we call our discipleship for the men's discipleship stables, this firm, steadfast place that we can sort of go on this journey, that it's more than just a video teaching. And yet there are some that are scattered right now that, again, in certain parts of the world, in certain areas that just don't have the ability to engage the way some can. And so we've taken that. We know that we're not going to be removing the channels, and we're going to be pointing to this video now because we get lots of questions. There has been people concerned that we're just pulling down the others. We're not. But what we are going to do is find a way that the way through to the teachings of the past, which people value. We know that it's helped on your journey. We're not disparaging our own teachings in service to the Father. We know it has been a part of helping people on their journey. But what we want to do is to try and encourage that this is in an engaging way. So we're not quite sure fully how it'll look in its final play, but we do know that access to the previous teachings at some point in the future is going to be more through an engaged way with the community. Mike, I'll get you to read this in the 2 Peter.
We have the prophetic word more fully confirmed, to which you will do well to take heed as to a lamp shining in a dark place until the day dawns and the morning star rises in your hearts. I mean, this is huge fulfillment of, the time domain and things like that going on here. But again, there were a lot of false teachings going on in Peter's day. And, here we are again, nothing new under the sun. And so this taking heed, one of the things that Curtis and I are striving to do with the River Branch and the River Village community, as Curtis said, is we want to work with people that are actually going to take heed, that are going to be cautious, that are going to apply themselves, not make us do it for them. To hold or cleave. This is marriage term. Go to the end of Genesis 2. A man shall leave his father's house and cleave to his wife. And so there's so much noise out there and people out there doing their own thing with their heads filled with so-called knowledge. Like, we don't have the time. We do believe that the Father is moving in these last days as we approach the end of the age. And we want to be working and dealing and serving those that actually care, that actually want to press on. Knowing this, first of all, that no prophecy of Scripture comes from someone's own interpretation. For no prophecy was ever produced by the will of man, but men spoke from Elohim as they were carried along by the Holy Spirit, the set-apart Spirit. And so this is it's the King's will, the King's desire. It's not our kingdom. River Branch is not Curtis and I's little plan to, build a little kingdom and draw disciples unto ourselves. No, we teach the word of Elohim as best as we see it and understand it. And we want to serve those that actually want to cleave to the groom, that understand the day is soon upon us. This luxury to behave badly is soon coming to an end, Curtis and I believe. And so this is why we're moving towards this engage with the community in a safe fashion, and this is why you're seeing some of the decisions that Curtis and I are doing, because it's not we're trying to be awkward. We want those that are going to truly engage, because if not, you're wasting our time and we're wasting yours. That's just the harsh reality of it.
Yeah. We've got here rest in shalom, respectfully, because this has been a lot of servitude to the Father and to his people. And so we don't disrespect that servitude. It's just that we're moving forward. And so some of the older teachings, it's time to revisit a number of them that have blessed so many. And we will do that, and as a part of that, then at that point, we might take down the series and things that we have redone. There's a number of them that we're looking forward to resharing, because the community has grown so much, different set of eyes and ears, people coming in, all these sorts of things. And so these are the challenges that we have before us. So the rest in shalom is not what the Father has given us and not access to these things. It's more the part of we're taking the first steps in this new journey, a new thing, as we were explaining earlier. Can we perceive it? And so there's that responsibility that we have to do this in a way, not to disrespect what the Father has done, what he has been doing, what he's done in your lives, our lives, but to actually go, how can we honor this moving forward in a way that is pleasing to him? And so this is what we're trying to find in all of this. So, when you see the new channel and things like this, we'll be posting the teachings, the messages from the Shabbat gatherings on the YouTube, and also on Rumble. And one of the reasons, for this is, of course, there be at times where perhaps a teaching is posted on one of the channels and not the other. And so it's important that there's an engagement going on in the ability, because we will do this from time to time. And there'll be times where sometimes what we are sharing and doing as a community will not be posted at all. And so engagement moving forward, and Michael and I are going to talk about this, is very important, because we're not here, neither one of us. We're not looking for clickbait. We're not looking for, subscribers numbers, all that kind of thing for the sake of it. It's actually about having a people that can have a connection of some sort. There are people right now in the scattered remnant, and they have anyone around them. They might be in difficult circumstances in their lives. They're hurting or whatever it is. We are doing our best to reach out, to be a part of this, so they know, for one, you're not alone. Two, there is a place where you can actually do this, because we are so scattered, and it is so much in our heart to be a part of serving this scattered house at this time. And he's going to bring it. The day is going to come when we're not scattered. We are going to see the fulfillment of the appointed times, and we're going to be together with him, with each other. But right now we've got this great challenge presenting to us, and our heart is actually to reach this scattered component, which in many cases, families or individuals have no one around them. And so this servitude is it's deep at our heart, isn't it, Michael, as to what we're doing. And so we're going to look to engagement in a certain way, not just trying to grow something for the sake of growing it. And we can't tell you how much we actually mean this.
There's a big difference between attending and partaking. There's a big difference, like we're not trying to turn people away. If you want to attend, fine, attend. But who we really, this is what Curtis and I are meaning about engagement, because one can show up and go through the motions. We want to see who's really partaking of the bread of life.
Sometimes people can just show up, and the luxury to behave badly really sits in these kind of formats, and why we have to guard it so carefully, because people just, they feel the need to, whatever. We've learned a social media culture, or, chat messages and things. And sometimes, that behavior just, it really isn't healthy, and it's not good. And we are dishonoring the gatherings and things like that. And we want to be a part of going, no, let's become pleasing in Messiah's sight, not just abusing these technologies and these formats and these things at this time. And so as we mature and as we try to apply wisdom to all of this, may we do this as a community, and may that then become a witness from all of you and from us as a part of why these principles are so much a part of what we do. We do not wish to be a part of some of the stuff we are seeing online, and what we believe is actually destructive and divisive in the body. And so, although there's difficult things and tough things and serious things and stuff that will stir people up and even upset them from time to time, that we just can't avoid, as a part of all of this, we still want to try and do these things as wise as we can, with the steps ahead. So we got the websites and the newsletters that are coming out as all a part of this. And of course, this is just a part of those mechanisms and engagements at this time. A safe in. So as we're doing this and carrying this out, are we a safe in? Is this, what do we really see in the Good Samaritan here, and what this is all about? So Michael here in Luke 10:33-35. Very, very interesting.
But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, again, there's journey coming up, came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on this man that's beat up by the robbers. He went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. And he set him on his own animal, a beast of burden, and brought him to an inn and took care of him. And the next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, saying, "Take care of him. Whatever you spend, whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I come back." Now, Curtis and I have both done teaching, the explanation of this, but without really getting into the details. We believe that Messiah has entrusted the wounded to his people. Again, think of the parable of the tenant entrusting his vineyard to his people. And so are we a safe in? Because the religious system right now is beating up and taking advantage of and fleecing the flock, things that we read of in the prophets and even going on in Yeshua's day, the religious authorities spiritually abusing the people. And Curtis and I, and what we're trying to do is not be a part of that. We want to be a safe in where the wounded can, first heal, but then eventually flourish spiritually. And we are seeing this in our community. It's a long process. It is a labor of love, but it's happening. But what I really love about this is that the Good Samaritan says, "I will repay you when I come back." And he gives, the innkeeper 2 denarii. 2 denarii was 2 days' wages. And we know that there are 2 days from Messiah's first coming and to when he will return. Hosea 6:2 says, "After 2 days he will revive us. On the 3rd day we will live before him." I believe that this parable is what we do now matters, because if we look after the battered and the bruised and the wounded, he will repay us on his return. This is the judgment seat of Messiah, rewards and losses. And one of the why of what we do, of why we do what we do, is because we're acutely aware of this. There is a day where we will all stand before Messiah. And I don't want to stand before him and for Messiah to say, why did you abuse my flock? Why did you continue all the nonsense that is going on around right now? Why did you take part in this? We want to do our best to be a safe inn where the king can entrust us. This is not about our rewards. This is about caring for what he loves and for what he died for.
So as a part of all of this is why we take all the principles of discipleship, which underpin every part of River Branch and the wider village. We can't stop all and any bad behavior all the time by anyone at any given point in the wider body. What we can do is operate in a way that this can be reduced, it can change, it can be restored, it can be found out, all these sorts of things. And so we operate by certain principles that are trying to create this environment to allow people to take their journey without being harmed. And so we're doing the best we can in quite a circumstance. And of course, one people's or place where they're at in their journey today is hopefully will grow and look a lot different tomorrow. And so there's, a space between those two, and a journey of the heart and heart circumcision and understanding, which affects our character and our behavior and all these sorts of things. So we're facing this challenge. What we're asking you is that you will face it together with us. Many of you have been with us for so long, and you've journeyed this, and you've seen the fruit in your own lives and in others around you. And we ask you to come together and to show this place where we can be a people that become pleasing to him, not because of what we know or we think we know, not because of what we do, our works, not because of all of these things, that there's actually a change, a heart circumcision that is going on where we can become this light and do this, so that there will be our King, and he wishes to repay us and to be a part of this next stage, as we come through. And so this parable, this great example being used here, is directly related to how Messiah is wanting us to understand our journeys with him. And so the wider context of that with River Branch is then comes into this place where we journey together as a part of our connection as a wider community. And so the new website's live, and go to it, and reference it as we do in the future. We'll continue to build onto it and add onto it and things like that. But everything in there in this connection to the wider body, the village, and all of these sorts of things. There's a lot of things going in behind the scenes that many people will just not see during a Sabbath gathering like this, where we're sharing and teaching. But we're trying to work to a place where everything we're a part of can become a witness, which means that all of us have to go through some heart circumcision and maturing and journeying along, and that includes Michael and I. But we walk in a way that many don't in a wider community or in the wider body. And so we're trying to bring these principles in. And for some people, that will mean this is just not the community for you. It's just the sad reality of it. Some people just want to live in their place. They want to hurl their rocks into the river from the side, or and do their things because they're hurt. Or they're wounded or whatever, and they don't want to be a part of how we get past that stage. They just want to stay in that place. And so we're careful in going. We don't want to be aiding just that place. We know we have a King who wants us to move on and to go through this. And so we need everybody in the community to help us with this, as a part of what we are doing as our own individual witnesses. So connecting to the house and these sorts of things, you'll see on the website there, the scriptures of faith, which kind of make up the wider spectrum from Bereshit to Revelation to the beginning to the front and the things in between of, as a community, the scriptures that mean so much to us. And you'll find right throughout the teachings and right throughout we do, these principles and whatnot are all captured in these scriptures, and to revisit them. In fact, indeed, Michael and I may do just a teaching just on these scriptures of faith and to really go into them deeply, because they're there for a reason. And it's what we stand for. It's what we understand. What we both hate is these, give me your statement of faith, and all these, and you see, we do this, and they give some doctrinal thing. And what Michael and I go to is, no, we'll give you the word, the more sure word of what it is that we are trying to learn and understand and to follow. Statement of faiths are often, in some cases, I think, just downright lying to people or misleading, or they're encapsulating some little flavor and whatnot, but we can't put Elohim in a bottle and kind of capture him in our own little movement or denomination or whatever's going on. We need to really look at this and go, what is his great plan of redemption? What is the why of all of this? And that we can sort of process and do this. So go reread these, why they are scriptures of faith, and let the Ruach take you and teach you that these are things underneath all of this that have real meaning to us, and we take very seriously, don't we, Michael? This is not, this is not a statement of faith. This is a journey of faith. And so
one more thing with the website as well. Like, it's designed to be really up. There's so many questions that Curtis and I get. Like, I would like to be part of the live gatherings. How do I do this? It's on the homepage. I would like to be able to donate. How do I do this? Go to the website. Like, I'm interested in your discipleship. Go to the web, like everything. And I mean, everything is on the website. So when we say go to the website, we're not just saying, nice little pretty pictures. Actually read, actually scroll, click on the links, familiarize yourself with what's actually on there, because the answer to most people's questions that are looking in are on the website.
Yeah. And so the contact us and things like that, and we'll put a statement on there. This is not a place to be asking doctrinal questions and things like that. We don't have the ability. Sometimes people ask such good questions or challenging questions that it would take us to write 3 pages. And even then, it probably wouldn't get the context across. We need to encourage people to be engaged so that they actually wouldn't write these questions. But often we get questions coming in on a contact us for people who, for whatever reason, can't be engaged to the level of the weekly Sabbath gatherings and things like that. But then they're not engaging even beyond that. And there is opportunity to do that. And for whatever reason, they choose not to. But they will, write a contact us and raise a doctrinal question, which would require so much of what we've already journeyed out. So these are some of the frustrations that we deal with and whatnot. The contact us is for matters of discipleship, maybe eldership, maybe somebody seeking counsel. This is about a community-based thing. And so we'll make some notes on there. And again, the website will slightly evolve and include more things over time as we take our steps moving forward. One of the things we're getting right now is, how do we support, we got people, they're confused. They think we're ending something and whatnot, as opposed to, no, we're moving forward with something. And so for those of you that have supported us with your prayers, financially, whatever it might be, it's there on the website. And so for those who want to continue to support and do this, because we get a lot of questions about that right now, nothing essentially has really changed. Just go to the website. That is what it is. And it's working towards everything that we do as a wider ministry. And that includes the Sabbath gatherings, the children's stuff, the discipleship aspects. And so it's all coming together as a part of that. So go to the website. That's how you can support us and of course, with your prayers and journeying with us and trying to engage or engaging and maybe perhaps in a bit deeper way. Also, too, we understand that matters of discipleship and all these sorts of things, people are hurt. They're hurt and burnt, as I would say. And as part of being hurt and burnt, There's wounds in these things. And we've talked about this many times and tried to share it other ways. And we actually understand that. And matters of discipleship necessitates being involved with making ourselves vulnerable. And as a part of making ourselves a little bit more vulnerable, because we might have been hurt by certain journeys in the past, some of these things going on in the Messianic Hebrew roots movements, our past Christian journeys, modern Judaism, all of these things can create things which can scare us or hurt us, or we've been through something. And so we don't want to be a community as a part of that. We're trying to bring people into a place of, okay, wherever you're at, let's try and just start walking this out a little bit deeper than we once did before, because this is going to be a matter of us journeying the faith, not just gaining knowledge or ticking boxes. And so a lot of this will be an encouragement as a community. But Michael and I and Ruth and Pip and whatnot, we just can't do this without you. We need to become the witness. We need to become the change, the way to be able to move forward and to do this, and not to just continue to keep bashing each other for where we're not, or where you want us or anyone else around you to be. Let's put on a place of helping each other get from one place to another. So this is where the discipleship comes into play here. Matthew 28:18-20, and Yeshua came to them and said, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and of the set apart Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you always to the end of the age, not the end of the world, as we like to state. And the note here, the king's final command before his ascension. So he's about to go on his long journey in all of this. He's about to do this precious journey for all our sake, to give us the ruach, to give us his word, and to give us each other. And this is why this statement means so much. And what Michael and I are doing as a part of our servitude is that discipleship has to be at the heart of all of this, because quite frankly, Michael, it was his command. And if we're serving the king and we're a part of his kingdom and not our kingdom, then the command is from him to do this. And so this is important to us, isn't it?
Yeah, we alluded to the parable of the tenant entrusting his vineyard to the hired workers, and we know how that parable goes wrong. The reason it goes wrong is because there was no discipleship. Yeshua is literally telling us this is how you keep things safe. This is how you keep things orderly. If not, you end up with the workers beating the other workers. I mean, look, everything that the horror stories you hear going on in the religious body, at the root of it, there's no discipleship or accountability or responsibility, and no one's paying consequence. So, like, I really want people to hear what I'm going to say. Curtis and I coming together for River Branch is not about the Shabbat gatherings. It's not. The reason we're really doing this, if people want to really know why, is so that we can devote more time to discipleship by spreading the burden between the both of us. Because a Shabbat gathering is a Shabbat gathering. We're not trying to demean it or to demean the teachings or any of that. There is its place. But, it turns out that turning up to a Shabbat teaching doesn't circumcise your heart. It doesn't fix your marriage. It doesn't fix your bad attitude like discipleship does. And so,
or agenda.
Sorry, what's that?
Or agendas, or what people may be trying to do. It's that we've got to move on from this place and actually take seriously that we are in his kingdom, not ours. And so, this is the journey we have before us.
If I may speak so boldly, while we were doing our respective previous ministries, Curtis, River, Shabbat, and Olive Branch, the thing that connected us in the background was discipleship. It was the framework by we operated, and the amount of good fruit that I have seen, that we have seen, that others have seen, has been I give glory to Yah, because all we did was do our best to operate in his principle of discipleship, and the fruit has been sweet. And that was with us being kind of separate. And so now that we're streamlining things, this is the reason why, because we have seen good fruit, but the harvest is plenty and the workers are few. And the only way we're going to get more workers is by obeying our king right here. Go make disciples. And, I'm sorry to say this, but a discipleship doesn't come in your 7-week program, your 10 steps to this, learn this, and now you're a disciple fit for the kingdom. Where did that get us? It got us to all the bad fruit we see all around us. And so if people want to know one of the real reasons why we're doing what we're doing, is for this. It's not for the Shabbat gathering, it's for the discipleship, because this is what's given us the good fruit, and this is what we desperately need even more of as more people are being sent to us by the Father.
One of the things where, because, again, we're trying to address this whole thing worldwide, in different time zones and everything else. And so, you get this appearance of Olive Branch, River Shabbat, and all these sorts of things. And there are people that have thought this was somehow separate, like they are actually separate ministries. You have to understand that from Michael and I's journey and many others, it's never been separate. These are just ways of being able to relate and to deal with the challenges that were before us at the time. But ultimately, what has united all of this is the true discipleship and the things that go on at the deepest, intimate levels of walking as brother. And so people that are just tuning in or just partaking in that way, they don't really truly understand. And one of the things that Michael and I wanted to do was to be the witness of what really is going on, so that you don't mistake that this is just this and that and, these little things. And, Michael and I catch up for a coffee every now and then or something like that over the phone. These are deeper journeys with very, very serious things that go on behind the scenes that impact everything that we do. It's just many people don't know that. They have not known that. But what they're going to get a chance is to know that. Why is it that we're doing what we're doing? And ultimately, we knew that we had to, we can't just say these things because people don't listen to it. They just think, oh, yeah, I do this. We're actually bringing forth the witness with the community. River Branch is made up of many good brothers and sisters who are all contributing in various and different ways into what is going on here. And we are blessed as a community by that servitude. We are blessed by what the Father is doing in people's lives. This is not just about Michael and I and our teachings. This is about a community and bringing it together and having us grow and mature and learn with the basis and the principles and the foundations of discipleship. And so these are the things that we are going to become a witness of at now another level. And we believe it's at the heart of the King to do such a thing. We live things that many don't. And we understand, and we're so close to things that we can sometimes ourselves just take it for granted. And we sometimes think some people have the way they view what's going on. And sometimes you think, is that the way they see it? Is that the way they understand it? And it's a surprise to us, but it shouldn't be, I guess. We're just closer to things than others are. But we now want to start to really bring that forth, because many of the people that are coming together in this community, putting down all their swords, their weapons, their emotional reactions, their whatever it is, and going, you know what? We're going to become a body. We are going to be a witness of his people, and we're going to move forward as best we can. And if there are people that are a part of whatever has been or what they thought it was in the past, that don't want to move on and don't want to grow and mature and move on from this space emotionally, mentally, spiritually, then this really isn't the community for them, is it, Michael, moving forward? It's just isn't.
As I said earlier, that we barely have the time to deal with those that are truly partaking. Again, there's a difference between attending and partaking or being engaged, and even dealing with those that are truly engaged. The workers are few and that harvest is plentiful. And so the discipleship will weed that out, And to those listening online, that are kind of new to this and going, I want to be part of this, go to the website. There's a link for discipleship. This is what we've striven for the last 6-7 years now to build. All the information is on there.
One of the most important things at the heart of this, from the Father's heart, is teach your children in my way. So this is why this is a big part of it, and what Pip and I were a part of in co-founding many, many years ago, about 13, 14 years ago, was this heart to actually help the parents, to help the grandparents, not just criticize them, not just tell them what they aren't and whatnot. How can we bring forth things that will really help the children to learn his ways, to gain a love for his word, to help support the parents, to help areas of the world that can't get materials or can't afford them, all of these sorts of things. And we have seen tens of thousands of children, parents and people around the world be blessed by being able to have safe materials to go to things that will help them to engage in the actual word, to learn it, to participate, to engage. This is not, it is so challenging to be a parent or a grandparent these days. We just decided to have a heart. Why don't we help instead of criticize? And so this is what you're seeing with these things. This is not just a nice thing to do. Like I say, there is nothing that I know of in the ministry that we do that is more important to the Father's heart than the essence of a child knowing his ways and faith, so that it may never depart from them, that they may know and understand. There is nothing more important than this. The outcome of a wider teaching or Shabbat gathering should be the result of a journey being raised in the faith and journeying the faith properly. It's the fruit. We're at the end part of that here. The actual foundations are just so much. And that's why you see what we're doing with the 144 kids, everything. We're trying to engage a community that can move forward with this. And whether you have your own kids or grandchildren, there's ways to be able to come in and to support, because we are watching a world that is becoming essentially godless. And they do not understand that there is a creator. He does have his ways, and he does have his plan of redemption, and he certainly will fulfill these things. And so as we move forward, if the children aren't blessed, if they aren't learning, the whole thing collapses. And of course, we have seen this happen with so many matters of the faith. The discipleship here, to go to the website. This is something, again, we will slowly but surely start to implement more and more things on this front to help people, to help raise up servant leaders and many of the good people that are trying to share in this burden regarding matters of discipleship and helping people, whether they are wounded or direction or just seeking counsel or things and challenges they are facing in their lives. But we can't make that all go away from teachings. This has to actually be in an engagement at a more intimate level, and with a sovereign, vulnerable choice to move forward and to heal and to restore. And so the Shabbat gathering teaching component in and of itself will not do that. It is a part of this journey, and it helps us to understand, and it feeds into it, and it is an important place. But it cannot be all that we are. And so this is very dear to, just so people are aware of, it is discipleship that brought Michael and I together. It is discipleship that we have been in ever since. This is not some game we are playing. Hey, Michael?
To anyone that may be listening and, has emailed in the past and said, thank you for all the work that you've done. Like, we get these emails, like, all of that good fruit is because of our discipleship. It's not because Curtis and I are oh so knowledgeable and oh so great. In fact, the opposite is true, which is why we need each other and discipleship. And so, I'll say it again, any of the good fruit that you may have experienced as part of Curtis and I's and other servant leaders in our community, that fruit has come from discipleship. And again, like, people, you have to be in it to understand what I'm going to say, but it's not just a 12-step program. It's not like a system. It's not here's your 12 steps. This is something you walk. Like, discipleship is not been there, done that, I've completed it. The more you walk in it, the more you need it. I need it more than ever now with the responsibility I have as part of a servant leader in River Branch. Curtis needs it even more now because of the nature of our service. And so you have to be a part of it to really fully know it. And, our encouragement is get involved. I mean, truly engage, because then you will grow. People will come to us because, the way the religious world has done it is you go to the pastor, or you go to the rabbi, and basically you become dependent. And now you have pastor and rabbi usurping all the families, usurping Elohim himself even. And this is not what we want to do. Grow for yourself. But we're giving you an avenue to do this. Engage, actually care, actually put the effort in. Because if you do, the fruit that will come from it, I can't even begin to say the fruit that will come from it, because this is what I've been grown from. This is why I am at where I'm at now.
We, a lot of the stuff that we see going on in the wider body, and even usurping of Messiah in individuals, most of it's without intent. It's not the intent to do these things. But the component that's missing is this part of the discipleship process, which Yeshua modeled. And so we're trying to have that be a part of our community. Discipleship happens, at all levels, from the wider rings to the most intimate discipleship components of the marriage covenant. But there's an aspect that we believe has been missing and was taken out a long time ago, a couple hundred years after the early call. It's been under attack. And so we need to take seriously what the king instructed. And so we go forward with this. Now, again, we'll have to figure out some more things, and as people grow, but we need, if people don't come into a space where they can be used as a part of the harvest and the discipleship process, then it becomes very difficult to do this wisely. And so what you're seeing is things are never quick enough for Michael or I, and I'm sure for everyone else. But we're doing things in a way that we're not going to risk the principles. We're not going to try and put people in harm's way, because even with everything that we put in to guard the camp, to do these things wisely, and boy, if you knew some of the processes that go in behind the scenes, we still can't, stop everyone's agendas or where their hearts may be really at. But what the process does do is protect us, and eventually things will become exposed. And so these are the things and the principles that we have to live by. We will never be perfect. And indeed, we don't even think we're meant to be. In fact, it's our imperfection that glorifies him in the end. And so the wonderful analogy in the beast of burden with the donkey, and why it was so integral in journeying the house of Israel as a part of Elohim's ways. And so we see the initiatives with the informal gatherings and the chinwags with the ladies' village. This will continue to increase. Gathering together for the Moedim, the appointed times, encouraging the connections and things we're seeing in the body. And as imperfect as it all is, the Ruach is with us right now, and many are journeying this out. And so as a part of this, we have the eldership in behind the scenes, and we sort of have run with a sort of default eldership in the main discipleship stable that we have, which we call DS1. But moving forward, we discipleship is something that's tested, and Michael and I are going to talk about this, and something that we will be putting in place with us as a part of the overall eldership for River Branch. So what we've got here is, when they have preached the gospel to the city and made many disciples, they returned to Lystra and Iconium and to Antioch, strengthening the souls of the disciples, encouraging them to continue. So there's emaneo, to remain, to preserve, to hold fast. It's actually those who have won the battleground of the mind. They're not ruled by the emotional thoughts that blurt out or something that's undoubted. There's actually been a process that's gone on here. And it says, in the faith. not just in knowledge, not just in the faith is so much more than just our knowledge or supposed knowledge. And saying through many tribulations, we must enter into the kingdom of Elohim. When they had appointed elders for them in every assembly with prayer fasting, they committed them to the master in whom they had believed. So from a tested place, from a discipleship place, from a place where people were tested and you could see the steadfast and preserving aspects to their character, to their journey, where they've gone, you then can have a people that can sit as a part of an eldership with something. So we remain with the responsibility, accountability, and consequence, and inevitably as a part of the house of Israel. And so this is something that we are going to be establishing a little bit more in an official way, but not for the sake of, okay, well, we've got this. People need to know that the eldership process to us is real, and these people have been tested and they have been discerned. And it has been discipleship that has allowed us to do the testing and discerning, not because we like someone or think someone is knowledgeable or, they whatever. These are very, very serious principles to us. And so just so people know and whatnot, this is all a part of the journey for River Branch, that this accountability and this place is all set in there. And what a lot of people don't realize behind the scenes in the discipleship that have governed both Olive Branch and River Shabbat is just the level of accountability and eldership that has actually been there. You just haven't seen certain things. And so we're bringing a witness forth in a bit more of a way that you can understand as to what's actually producing these things, because many just don't have that behind the scenes of River Shabbat gathering to really know. And we understand that. So there's just some more things that are going to become more prominent as they come forth. What say you, Michael?
Again, this Western modern religious idea that, there's the pastor or the rabbi at the top and he calls all the shots and he's this so knowledgeable one and so wise. And the reality is it couldn't be further from the truth, actually. And this is where things get dangerous when one person is in charge. And so all the decisions, these big decisions that Curtis and I have made, there's been hours of discussions that have happened, both with each other, with those that we hold ourselves accountable to, with some of our personal twos and threes. Like the amount of discussion and thought that goes behind these big decisions, this is how we've lived. Like for me, ever since I started serving, I've never served without accountability, which is actually not the norm these days. And so for me, it protects, because I'm not the great, oh so knowledgeable one. I am still a man, and I am still fallen, and I am still susceptible to my fallen state. And so is Curtis. And so this is why we choose of our own free will to hold ourselves accountable to those that are tested by fire. The men that we hold ourselves accountable to are not wishy-washy, flip-floppy. These are serious men of faith that have been tested by fire.
Yeah. And so we take these principles as seriously, and as imperfect as we all might be, these principles protect us. They guide us. They guard the things of Him, and as we move forward, we grow and learn in that place. So we want people just to understand those. So there will be things that are made a little bit more visible, so people understand what has actually been happening, what actually has grown, everything that you may have valued, understood, or seen in the past, and that these principles keep going out wider and wider to bless the community. So the community engagement. What does community engagement mean moving forward? And what is that together with each other and with Him? Behold, how good and pleasant is when brothers dwell in unity. And of course, the unity there, the echad, unit together, union, to be joined in the echad. Now, there's something in this that's deeper with Michael and I, and we discuss this and where we believe this is, well, what this is truly pointing at, and how these how this links in the Hebrew. We can't make a teaching out of this today, and we're not. But we will come back to this because we believe that this is intrinsically linked at quite an incredible level. And we believe that the outcome, or this unity being spoken of here in the Hebrew, is directly the result, and may only be able to come from our willingness to actually swim together, to walk together, to never be alone. Is that fair enough, Michael, without us getting into a teaching on this one alone?
Yeah, this will be a series, guys, at some point in the future. But, when Curtis and I were putting this together, we had to literally physically pull ourselves back because the way Curtis and I work, we can't help ourselves. The rabbit hole keeps getting deeper and deeper. And it's like, stop it. We need to focus. So this will be a thing, but it's a beautiful thing, that I will say. And, most of you will know that echad is what a man and a wife are supposed to be, and that this is a foreshadowing, a typology of Messiah and the bride. And there's a whole journey on that, but we'll leave this breadcrumb. Does becoming echad come from being able to walk together and to be yachad, to be a unit? We'll leave it there.
Yeah, it's important that we understand that echad, or that future tense of being one, is an outcome. And we believe the Hebrew is saying that, and we believe his pattern is saying that. We believe everything he has given us is that there's an outcome of something he's desiring and looking for. So we will at some point one day revisit this again as a part of the discipleship teachings and things moving forward. So we affectionately have the River Village now. And as we bring this to a close today, to understand that this village is not a part of a Nicolaitan system where we're trying to convince, convert, control, and do all these sorts of things. What we have seen the Father do is bring together his people under the principles of discipleship, under the principles of walking in a way that many are choosing not to. As a result, he's entrusting us with more and more things and understanding of things. And things that many years ago I was given to go forth and to give and to share, that others could learn and to see and to be a part of after he got it through my thick skull. And that takes a lot, and so one of these things now that we are seeing in this River Village, and we just got the image there to sort of see, but you'll see the donkey standing on the wall there, guarding, and the wolves are outside, and we got a few goats that are still hanging out the gates, and you've got inside this place where his body is coming together and becoming a witness. And so a lot of what we're doing in River Branch is a witness. It's a light. Some people shine away from the light and cover their eyes. Others want to know more about what it is. A sweet fragrance to some, a foul odor to others. We can't determine all of that. What we can do is ask that the Father's hand be with us as he continues to bring together his people and his body, and how we can walk and be a part of this village together, which makes up a part of course, his wider body. And so this is the way we express it. But we operate with certain principles because there's sometimes a lot of not good things happening out there, and people behaving and doing things in a way that they shouldn't. And so we're walking in a way to continue to try and make sure that we are as healthy and as pleasing to the Father as possible. And of course, that brings in his annual appointed times.
Just before that, though, Curtis, as well, like one of the things we want people to really understand is what you saw in that River Village. This is, again, the elders of the various efforts that you see, these little houses. We choose to walk with one another. We submit one to another. We hold each other accountable. And this is what provides the safety, So whatever you see on the website, it's not just an affiliation. This is us saying we walk with these people. We know what's going on. And we believe these to be safe environments, So it's not just that we want to, in fact, Curtis, the amount of people that would love for us to affiliate with them, like we get requests all the time. Why are they not on the website? Because we don't know them. That doesn't mean that they're bad or evil, or we're not saying, and whatever people may be a part of, we're not saying it's good or bad. What we are saying is this is what we know. This is who we know, and we know it to be safe, so, and just so people understand that, like, there's serious discipleship going on that's linking all of this together. And it's all out of our sovereign choice of wanting to fulfill Messiah's go make disciples. It's that's providing this safe space.
And like anything, we're dealing with all of this. We're all in a human fallen form. And so there may be at some point in the future something that's in the village today. We may choose not to be, or even be removed from the village in the future, depending on the ability to continue to join and move together. But everything that you're seeing as a part of the village at its core and its link is actually a discipleship aspect and at the foundation of it all. So again, these are these things that when we're saying River Village, there's much more to this. This is not some control mothership thing. This is about learning how to be a body based on the principles of discipleship right throughout all of this. And so we're doing the best that we can. But the fallen state is what it is, and people and human sovereignty is what it is. And so all we can do is move forward as best we can and hope that we can all stay in a place of teshuvah and move forward with him. And so we're going to finish up here with his annual appointed times. And this is where we've got this proclamation. Yah, speak to Moshe, saying, speak to the people of Israel and say to them, these are the appointed times of Yah. You shall proclaim then this chara, to call out and we got the mikra in the convocations. They are the appointed times. What's actually going on here? Is this just we tick a box, or this is what we do now because we didn't know the front of the book before? What is actually the instruction here? Michael and I often refer to this scripture every time very heavily around the appointed times, be it in the spring or the fall, and we will raise this because this is the statement that Leviticus and the Torah starts off with before we're going to list the great plan of redemption captured in them. And Michael, we have proclaimed, we have summoned the kahal, the assembly in this, and to come together. And it's very interesting. It's not just come and tick a box, is it?
No, I mean, the reason I highlighted the Hebrew words here is because in the English, you get proclaim, convocation. And we think, okay, in the Hebrew, actually, the two words are based off one another. You are to kara, to call out. This convocation, a mikra, it comes from this calling. And so this is not just, it's a nice little meeting. We have been summoned every year, several times a year. And not only that, we're summoned once a week for the weekly appointed time. These are not just, let's tick a box. We're being summoned to come together, to be a witness, to be a light, and to guard his appointed times. And so we don't understand that from the English that this convocation, this gathering is actually something called out. I mean, it's even got the allusions to being set apart, to being called out of darkness. And so these are important.
They are important. And so as we look at all of these, we adhere to them. And a lot of the things that we've brought in when we gather on the high Sabbaths relating to the appointed times, this great plan of redemption, we choose to bring together various aspects of the wider village and community and whatnot and praise the King for them. They're his gatherings. They're his appointed times. And so even though there'll be teachings leading up to these, Michael, like we'll be doing this year, you'll be doing Yom Teruah, I'll be doing Yom Kippurim, we'll do the teachings before the actual appointed time itself, because we're respecting that they're his, and he deserves praise for his plan of redemption. And so this is what we are choosing to do as a body. Hey, Michael.
Yeah. So for those of you watching online, you will see the appointed time teaching in the lead up to the actual appointed time. So for example, this year, I'll be doing the Yom Teruah teaching ahead of Yom Teruah, so that then Yom Teruah, we will praise our King and we will give glory where glory is due. But, as we see here, his appointed times, what we've done as a wider community for the Pesach, we're a scattered remnant. And so for those that are included and that truly partake and involve themselves, we do, a streamed Pesach meal for those that are scattered. The week of unleavened bread, you've got your high Sabbaths. Again, these will be ministering to the King. Now here, the Feast of Weeks leading up to Shavuot, we're going to do something different this year. So most of us know the counting of the Omer, these, 49 days as we count from the first of the first fruits to Shavuot. And we're going to do something different this year. We're going to kind of close down as a community. And you may go, what's going to happen? Look, there will be no formal Shabbat gatherings during that time. This will be a time for people to take ownership and to meet with one another. This doesn't mean there won't be Shabbat. River Branch is not the Shabbat. The Shabbat hasn't been canceled, but we want people to kind of come together. And, there will still be the discipleships going on, but there will be an onus on, men, heads of households. This is the time for you to really step up and be the head of your family. Meet with those who you can, and we've got here, be a witness, Book of Ruth. Curtis, I'll let you speak on that.
Yeah, we underestimate what's really going on with this, this counting of the Omer as we do, and we kind of count our days and our weeks and do all these sorts of things. But what is the why of all of this? What is it really all about? And this is a great time of us being a witness, and the gleanings of the harvest are out there. And if we're so insular, if we're so captured, if we're so in ourselves, as a people in our cliquey, little fellowship or faith journeys or whatever else it is, there's all of this around us. And so we as a part of being a part of his plan of redemption, we are to be the witness of this. And of course, we see this all encaptured in the Book of Ruth in an amazing and incredible way, which is the greatest link book to the Feast of Weeks and the why of it. And in fact, this year, as a part of us looking at the Feast of Weeks a certain way, and coming up and all the challenges and things we were doing with this aspect, what the Father taught me was a very serious thing. And in fact, as a part of that, I was spending time with those who I would not normally spend time with. I had a chance to, and to be a part of those gleanings. As a result of that, I ended up saving my neighbor's life. And an incident occurred, and you realize when that happens, and of course, this man doesn't know my faith or understand it the way we do and things like that, but it's opened a door to share some things, and for someone maybe not necessarily to see the witness as opposed to just take whatever their aspect or understanding of God is and the Bible and all that. What he experienced was something very different, and so as a part of that, it has formed a relationship and a friendship, and maybe even one day a brotherhood that may come from it. But this gleaning and this chance to save my neighbor's life was a result of this. And so we don't know what the Father has out there for us as a witness when we honor and take these things literal, and we start understanding the why, not just the what.
One of the reasons we're going to be doing this as well is because Curtis and I understand we have a job, and that is to serve, and part of the Shabbat gatherings is to teach. But we also have to be very careful to not put ourselves between Messiah and between you. We are not the conduit to Messiah. The Ruach is. We're just there to provide information, as it were, to provide teaching, to help you on your journey. But woe unto Curtis and I if you become dependent on us as well. And so, yes, we have a responsibility, but again, this downtime, we believe, and in fact, we're certain of it, it will force people to step up. Go seek the Father. Go to those you normally wouldn't be able to see. Be a witness. Take ownership. Travel to see one another. This is not a bad thing. In fact, it gives you lots of options.
Yeah, it does. We're just going to have this place where we're going to look at, helping each other to grow and to become the witness. The day is going to come when no matter what we do or decide, the videos aren't going to be available. In fact, we're going to be unable to meet the way we can now. And do we value what we truly have right now? Because the days are coming when none of this is going to be here. And so whatever work he has done in us, whatever witness we have become, wherever we are at with all of this, is going to matter. It's really going to matter. Right now we have people worried that we're taking down the old teachings. There's going to come a time when that's not an option to have them available anywhere. Not because that's what we want, but because this is the time and the day and age we're heading into. And so we're here to help equip, to help grow, to help encourage, to help be together. If you see Messiah in what we're doing, if you want to walk with us and be a part of his weekly and annual appointed times and what we're doing as a ministry, then that's wonderful. If you're led to pray and support into that, we are blessed by it. But know that Michael and I both know the days are coming when none of this will be available to us, not to serve into and not to get access to. And we just don't know how long that runway is, how far away it is. What we know is we're going to do the best we can right now for as long as we can. May you appreciate and value it the way we do, to serve into it. And may we journey this all out together. And so this is why when we come to Sukkot this year and the International Sukkot, we are so looking forward to it because we are with his people and what he is doing with his people. And what an honor that is that we still at this time can come together. And so let us value it. Let us cherish it. Let us learn the plan of redemption, all captured in his appointed times, which all point to our Messiah. Every single one of it, all of it is him. And so it's the greatest thing ever written, ever known. And so we are experiencing this incredible time to be a part of this. So Michael, as we finish up here, what is Philippians trying to say to us?
Brothers, I do not speaking of the resurrection, this fulfillment of these 6 days going into the last great day. The one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lays ahead. The straining forward here in the Greek, the epektenomai, it means to stretch out to or to stretch oneself. Is this idea of being stretched and growing, that things come through trial and through crushings. And so what lies ahead, the journey can be arduous, but I would argue it's very fruitful. I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of Elohim in Messiah Yeshua. That is our goal. And so everything that we're doing with River Branch and that all the servant leadership is trying to do is to help you on your journey towards Messiah. But along the way, it's going to involve us being stretched to do that. And this is why we all need one another. Let those of us who are mature think this way. And if in anything you think otherwise, Elohim will reveal that also to you. Now, the mature here, teleos, it means brought to its end, finished, complete, fully grown and mature. And my personal favorite, meeting the highest standard. Those who have been doing this, who are growing, will know that it's a team game, but that ultimately it's all about Messiah. Everything we do should be leading us to him. And so this is why I said earlier, this is not about River Branch. This is not about a little ministry or our logos. Like, these are just, we use these things so we can identify and communicate to a modern world. But if Messiah is not the goal of what we do, it's all for naught. It's all for naught. And so this is another reason of the why we're doing what we're doing, is because we know that to have Messiah as the goal, we have to be stretched towards that. The journey's not easy. It's very fruitful and rewarding, but it comes with a trial. And so this is why we want people to grow, to engage, to partake, because it's not about Curtis and I. It really isn't.
The teleos here in the Greek, on the mature, what follows this is the statement that was a possibility with the disciples of the time. And if any of you think otherwise, which often people miss that, he's going, and if you don't think this way or understand it, may Elohim reveal this to you. And this is Michael and I's cry to you as a community and as a family and as the body of Messiah and as a fellowship and everything that we're doing. May Elohim reveal this to you so that we can journey this together. We believe he's revealing it to us, and we are doing our best to serve, but may this go beyond this, that this witness of River Branch can be something that is real to help others in the body, in other areas, to our families, to those around us, whatever this is, that we may become a light shining in a dark place. And that can't be because I say I'm going to be a light. It is an outcome of whether we are a light or not. And so we all know that we struggle. We all know that we have our journeys. We all know that there's still heart circumcision and that we're a work in progress. But please, this meeting the highest standard, this maturity, this growing in maturity, if any of us think otherwise, that everything we are doing and why we are doing it here with what we've shared today, may Elohim reveal it to you also. That is our heart. So we're going to finish up there and point others. Maybe you will point others as to the why and what this is really all about, what's truly at our heart, where we are being stretched, where we're being challenged. And also we're doing this one little step at a time. And we don't have the whole staircase or all the answers, but these are the principles and where our Messiah has led us to move forward. All right, Michael, I guess we'll finish it there, right? And we'll thank you everyone for hearing us out on the why of River Branch, the launch of it. We're excited. We thank you for being with us here on the Shabbat gathering to share this. And hopefully the teachings out of today's message and sharing the why of River Branch will mean something to you and be a blessing to you. And so we'll come back here shortly for the Q&A and take a few questions and finish up our Shabbat gathering.
All right. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.